All right. Last section for St. Agnes and second to last for St. Peter. So we're getting there. All right. So we are going to talk about dividing polynomials today. And we're going to start with the beginning part here, which is basically reviewing what we had been doing. So when you see this whole thing divided by a 5x, remember it's the same thing as if you wrote it this way. So that's familiar to you. You've seen that in the other sections. And now what's the first thing we do? Well, we can't cross off because we have subtraction and adding, remember, but we can look for a greatest common factor. And sure enough, you look at the numbers, 5, 20, and 30, what can you take out? For sure, a 5. And then we got an x to the third, x to the second, and an x. So they all have at least what? 1x. So this is going to work nicely, isn't it? So if I divide the 5 out, I'm left with a 1. And if I take one of these x's out, I'm left with 2. And it's minus because I'm following the pattern. 20 divided by 5 is 4. I took one x out, so I'm left with 1. Plus, again, because I'm following the pattern, 30 divided by 5 is 6. And the x is out front, so it's not there at all anymore. And now that we have this multiplication again, I can cross off the whole thing there. Or part of it. If it wasn't a 5, it was just the x's, we could cross off just the x's because we're 5 times x times this. This would have to go together. I couldn't cross off part of that because of the adding and subtracting. All right, so here we go with this. And again, we've talked about when there's a trinomial, to check it out. What plus what equals 2? Can we come up with a factoring? I'm thinking 3 and 5. Does that work? This is positive, so that has to be the negative then. Okay. So we're left with x minus 3 and x plus 5 all over x minus 3. Because remember, I can't cancel here. These have plus minuses, a minus. If I'm going to cancel this x minus 3, I have to cross off the entire thing together. They're married, okay? So this and this go now. Voila. Let's try this, or you can pause it if you want to give it a chance on your own first. But we got two trinomials, so we're going to try to work both of them. The bottom one's easier. I'm going to do that one first because there's nothing in the front of the x. So what plus what equals a negative 1? What times what equals a negative 12? 3 and 4 probably is going to be it. Let's see how it works. I need it to be negative, and I need that to be positive. Okay. Oh, is it a negative 1? Oh, darn it. I did that wrong because I copied it wrong. See, haste makes waste, children. Haste makes waste. All right. Those should be negative. All right. So those are gone. And now we have x plus 3 and x minus 4. So we got the bottom done. But remember, the top one is a little trickier because of this. We start off the same, saying what plus what equals negative 7. Let's get that this time. And what times what gives you a negative 8. And what is our answer there? 1 and 8. This has to be negative, and so does that. So does that work? Yes. Okay. But now we aren't going to just drop it in like we did down there. Because of this, we have to rewrite it and group it. So we are going to write the first term and the last term just as they are. And we are going to, instead of writing negative 7x, we are going to write plus 1x minus 8x. Easier if you would have put the negative first, like I told you to do, and I did not follow my own advice. So now I got to suffer the agony of it. All right, so I look at this, and I'm going to now group. And if this is a minus, I need to put it with that. That wasn't so bad. All right, so take out the x, and we're left with a 2x plus 1 plus, and what can factor here is a negative 4, it looks like, with x plus 2. What is wrong here? Oh, for heaven's sakes. Class, I need you, okay? We're nearing the end of the year, and I'm starting to lose my mind. So I clearly missed that. Negative 8, and then 1. That works better. Okay. And now we notice there is a common factor here. So I can put that down, 2x plus 1. And then I have x minus 4 on top. Oofta. All right. So these are gone. They're whole now. They're multiplied. So now I can cross them off in chunks. And we're left with 2x plus 1 over x plus 3. All right. Long division, polynomial, fun. Lots of fun. But what I noticed is, actually, you can use the same method we used on the other two with these two. So why don't you do that? Because it'll be good practice, and you could pause it and try them. So I'm going to rewrite them. And I'm going to factor the top. What plus what equals 10. What times what equals 21. 7, 3, gone. X plus 7, x plus 3. So I'm getting a little fast with this stuff. This is review stuff, so I'm starting to move a little bit. But you can feel free to re-watch these. Again, this has to stay together, and thankfully it crosses, and I'm left with x plus 7. So hopefully you got that right. Try the next one. What plus what equals negative 2. What times what equals negative 8. So 6 and, no, that's not going to work. What am I doing? 4 and 2. Negative and negative. So I'm left with x minus 4, x plus 2, all over x minus 4. This has to stay together, but that's fine because I have the whole thing on top. And it's multiplied. But now after that practice, now we get to the polynomial long division. And you know what, you guys? It's just like regular division. It just has variables in it. So when you used to do, like, let's say 3 into 7, 1, 9, 2, you'd say, okay, this goes into this 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. Then you would subtract it, right? 1. You bring down the 1. 3 goes into 11. How many times? 3. 3 times 3 is 9. You'd subtract it. Bring it down. 29. 3 goes into 29. How many times? 9 times 3 is 27. Subtract it. 3 goes into 22. How many times? Subtract, and I'm left with a remainder of 1. And remember, we can take that remainder of 1 and put it over what's outside. So there's a great refresher on long division. Now you're going to learn long division with variables. So remember, the bottom is the one that goes on the outside. So I'm going to set it up. I'm going to go up here, x plus 5, and I'm going to literally set it up. But now here is the key. You got to make sure that there's a place for everything in descending order. So before I write this in here, I'm going to look on the top and see x squared. Then I should make sure I have an x, and then I need a number, and I do. But for example, if this was missing, this one in the middle, and it was only 3x squared plus 26, then I would have to fill that in with a 0x. It's like a placeholder in here, and you need a placeholder for every part of the descending thing. So I'm going to put this in here, and I think we'll experience that in the next problem for you to see. Okay, so here we go. Oh, I'm tired, people. All right. So we are going to look now at the first thing you have, the x only right now. I'm not going to be concerned with this for the part I'm doing. I'm going to say, okay, what do I multiply x by to get this first term? X times what? And the answer would be 3x. Okay, I want to stop there for a minute. Do you see that? 3x times x is 3x squared. Do you agree? I want you to notice now where I put it. I didn't put it above this one. Okay? I put it above the one that has the x. All right, now let's keep moving. What I'm going to do now that I've written that there is I need to multiply it by both of these, and I'm going to write it right here under both of these. So the first thing should drop out. Watch. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times a positive 5 is a positive 15x. Questions? This is when I wish I was in class, because I know you guys have questions. But just keep watching. Now you're going to subtract, but here's the deal. You got to change the sign of both. So I'm going to go in now and do my subtract, draw my line. Hopefully you're taking good notes. So what's 3x squared minus 3x squared? Gone. I'm just going to cross it off. That's what's supposed to happen, by the way, and if it doesn't, there's a problem. 19x minus 15x is what? 4x. See, everything's very linear. It lines up nicely. And we pull it down, the next term, just like we did in long division, plus 26. All right, now we go on. And we do this because we have one more space to fill. That's how we know how many spaces. Okay, so don't put the first number in the first one. It goes in the second space, and then you fill the next space. And after we fill this one, there may be a remainder and there may not. We'll see if it comes out even. So we go back to our original question, class. We take the first one and say, what do I have to multiply this by to get the first thing here? First to first. And the answer is 4. Positive. So I'm going to do a plus 4. This is going to be a plus here. Now we multiply. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 5 is positive 20. Do you remember the next step? Subtract both or switch the sign. If it had been a negative, I would have switched it to a positive and draw your line. Is what's supposed to happen happening? 4x minus 4x? Good. That's supposed to happen. 26 minus 20 is 6. Okay, it didn't come out even. I have a remainder of 6. So do you remember what we did with the remainder up here? We put it over what was out front. We're going to do the same thing here. But we have to put the plus because it's a positive 6. We're going to do plus 6 over this whole thing. This is your answer. Huh. Hey? Who knew? Now I'm going to start you on this, and then I'm going to challenge you to pause it and try it on your own. But I want to just make sure you don't make a couple mistakes right away that you haven't experienced yet. So once we get it set up, then I'm going to have you try it on your own. Okay, so first thing we do is, of course, the bottom goes out front, and we set it up. Now, I look in here, and first thing I see is it's written in non-descending order. So that bothers me for one. So we got to write that in descending order. Second thing is, do you see one of the terms is missing? It doesn't go descending. We have an x to the third, and then there should be what? An x to the second. It's not there. So I have to put it there with a 0. So watch. X to the third plus 0 x squared. Now I can continue on. The reason is that's a place marker. Otherwise, when you come up here, you're going to be all of a sudden end up with x squareds and x's, and they're not going to line up nice like these are. Okay, so that's why you need to have one for each power. All right, now I challenge you to stop it. I'd love to know if you stopped it. You can send me an email and tell me, say, Mrs. Silva, I so stopped the video and I did it right. Or you can say I stopped the video and did it wrong, but at least I'll know you tried it. All right, here we go. First step. My answer, whatever I get, is going to go above the second one. I know that. And I need to say, what do I multiply this first thing by to get x to the third? And when you multiply, you add powers, remember, so it's going to be an x to the second. Now I multiply. X squared times x, add the exponents, is x to the third. X squared times a negative 3 or a minus 3 is negative 3x squared. Next step, subtract, switch signs. If they're, look at, I just switched that negative to a positive. Draw your line and go ahead and add down. Gone. 0x squared plus 3x squared leaves me with 3x squared, and that's why we had it, because if we didn't have this 0 here, this 4x would have been over here, and all of a sudden we're trying to put x squareds and x's together, and you can't. Okay. Next step is to bring it down, minus 4x. And we're back to the beginning. What do we multiply this by to get the first term? Well, for sure 3, right? And an x. And I put it over the next term. See how they line up? 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times a negative 3 is a negative 9x. Next step, change your signs, draw your line, add down. Good, it disappears like it's supposed to. Negative 4x plus 9x is 5x. Bring down 7. And back to the beginning. What do you multiply x by to get 5x? Positive 5. Now multiply 5 times x is 5x. 5 times a negative 3 is a negative 15. Oops, I drew my line first. I'm out of order. Change your signs. Draw your line. Add down. Negative 7 plus 15 is 8. I have filled all my places. I have a remainder. What do I do with that? I go up here and do plus, because it's a plus, 8 over x minus 30. Isn't that nice? Just look at that. It's a work of art. It truly is. I can't wait to see your homework. Please don't try to just shoot me answers that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you just like come up with this as an answer. Okay, that's just craziness. All right, I hope you guys have a great day. And that was the finale for St. Agnes. So nice job. Bye-bye.